A very good morning to all of you. Thank you very, very much for joining us this morning, and a very warm welcome to all the participants for this morning's webinar, which has been titled The Experiential Brain, the second peak, your life values at this age. And this is going to be brought to us by Mr. Chokman Sum. My name is Dr. John Judson. I'm a professor of anatomy in the preclinical sciences department of Utah, and also the chair for the Center for Research on Non-Communicable Diseases. To give you a brief background of those of you who are attending this for the first time, the Mind Your Brain series is a series of talks focusing on the brain, a healthy mind that has been organized jointly by the Malaysian Mental Literacy Movement, MMLM, along with our faculty, the M. Kandaya Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences, and our research center, which is the Center for Research on Non-Communicable Diseases, University Tunku Abdul Rahman. Life begins at 40. You must have heard this very famous quote. Other things also start at 40. Aching joints, failing eyesight, a lot of things. But you must remember that this quote, which was by someone called Walter Pitkin, was from 1932, almost 90 years ago. So life expectancy was shorter, only about 55, 58. That's why retirement age is still 55, 58. But along the way, we peak in our careers around 40, 42, 45. And when we peak, it means it is a decline after that. But now, with improved healthcare, improved age expectancy, we live, or we can hope to live much longer. So, which means you have quite a bit of your life left after you actively leave what you are doing in your career. So, which means there is not only a first peak, you have a lot more time where you can achieve a second peak as well. And to tell us all about that second peak and also your life values at this age, particularly after 40, after 50, whatever, is Mr. Chokman Sum. Let me introduce Mr. Chokman Sum to you. He is a qualified neuro-linguistic programming coach, NLP as it is called, and he is accredited by the NLP Association of Malaysia. He is an International Coaching Federation coach as well. He is also a certified clinical hypnotherapist, accredited with the British Society of Clinical Hypnosis. He's had quite some experience with the financial sector, financial payments industry, and he has graduated as a civil engineer. He has an MBA from Durham University in the UK. He holds a degree in psychology from the US, and he is also a certified financial planner who's had experience in Malaysia. While he was working in the financial industry, Mr. Chokman spends time working as an executive coach, supporting so many people, teens in their financial goal planning, etc., etc. He's also had experience in Australia, in Melbourne, where he has led a voluntary US-based group called Sidewalk Talk Listener, for those of you who want to have a listening ear. He is a life coach, as an NLP trainer, as I told you earlier, and a change maker with the objective of transforming life, aligning values, beliefs, identities, essentially promoting health and well-being. So that is who Mr. Chokman is. And before I hand over the mic to Mr. Chokman, let me give you a housekeeping announcement that if you have any questions for him, please do feel free to type it out in your chat box in your control panel, and I will collect them all and ask him towards the end of the session. But if you have anything burning, you can still interrupt Mr. Chokmon anywhere along his talk, and he is welcome to you asking him questions along the way as he wishes it to be a very interactive session. Okay. To all Utah students and staff, those of you who wish to record your attendance, please sign in your attendance at the link that will be posted very soon by the organizers. And with that introduction and with no further delay, let me turn you over to Mr. Chokman Sung. Mr. Chokman Sung, the floor is all yours.
Thank you so much, Dr. Judson. Appreciate your kind words on my background. I go by the brand, I'm a Remind facilitator. Remind meaning rewiring person's mind to facilitate the rewiring of a person's mind so that the person can be more positive. If the person is already positive, to be more positive, and if there is any sort of negative things that comes up in their mind, I can hope to sort of work with that person to remind the person. So now this talk really this morning is about how you can continue to live a full and fruitful life. The second half of your life, as Dr. Judson was saying earlier on, life begins at 40 back in the 1930s. But now people live to the 80s, 90s, and even hundreds. So 50 years, a lot of people have been chasing their careers, chasing perhaps even relationships, chasing financial rewards. But second half of the life, of one's life, essentially, you may or may not be chasing similar things. But the most important thing that I want to convey this morning is really to have a deliberate and a conscious decision to decide on how you want to live that second half of your life. Now, I am making an assumption here, since the webinars, the series of webinars is actually meant for over 50s, and I assume at this moment my talk will be for those who are over 50 years of age. So, and that's how this sort of the content is sort of skewed towards those above 50 years of age. Now, I'm not trying to be ageist in any way to sort of say that those above 50, the older folks, don't live a full or less productive life or anything like that. In fact, a lot of people live a very full and productive life the second half of their lives. The important thing, though, is that what I'm trying to do in this hour, as I say, is to have you think deliberately and consciously identify what you see are important, your values, what you see are important for you in your life. Highlight how to be thoughtful with what you want to be. I mean, thoughtful is the thing that I would want to sort of stress. And how you can live that full life with perhaps no or less regrets at the time when you have to move on. So that's the intention. And because what we have come across and we have read so much, and I'm sure you have as much as I have, about people in the last days of their life saying, oh, I regret I've not done this. I regret I've not done that. I regret that I have not taken up enough risk. And regret seems to be the sort of thing for many people at the last days of their life. So we want to make sure that you are as I say, consciously and deliberately identifying what those things are important in your lives and to work on those important things. So I mean, if you have come across a book called Second Half, the second half of their lives, actually they talk about from success to significance. First half of life is much about chasing for success. Second half of life is choosing significance. Now, whether you agree, perhaps I don't probably agree that it is about significance. It is about continuous success or whatever you choose to be. That's the one that I would want to talk about. So let me share the slides with you. I have a few slides and I'm going to do that now. Just give me a sec. Can you see? You can see the slide. Yeah, I can see that you can see. So what, as I say, this talk is about taking stock of your current situation and the first half learning. That means your first half of your life. What have you learned? And rid yourself of those negatives. Understand the importance of your current values. Your current values meaning what are important to you currently. As you know, over time, what are important to us change over time. When you are a 7-year-old kid, I think what is important to you may be your toys or your relationship with your mother or your father. As you grow older, what are important to you are your friends. Maybe when you are a teenager. And then when you are in your 20s, perhaps you may be more interested, what are important to you is your career and perhaps boyfriends and girlfriends. So those things change over time. And therefore, at the age of 50 and above, reevaluate what are important to you then. Okay, for many of us now, what are important to you. So that's what we are going to talk about. And I would want to start off with a question. The question is, what are your achievements so far? What are your achievements? Your achievements can be things like some people look at careers. Some people look at financials. You may be successful in becoming a CEO, or you're coming like, I'm sure Dr. Justin, if you don't mind me saying, you probably are real success as being a doctor and helping people. So I'm just guessing, okay, because of your title. But there are lots of other successes. There are other successes like how I brought up the family, how I have provided shelter for my spouse and my children, how success may be how you have taken care of your parents. So different people, they have different successes and that they think of. Other people may even think of sports. I've achieved this. I'm number one in this. I hold a world record in that sports. Yet others may see success as helping in church, as an example. To them, that's success. So everyone has different successes, and they are meaningful to themselves and perhaps may not be meaningful at all to others. So I would like you to put your successes in the chat box and let's see what some of those comments. I'm trying to look at the chats. Anyone, just put them in. I'm not putting you on the spot, Dr. Judson. Maybe you want to share one or two of your successes you think. I hope, as I say, I'm putting you on the spot. This person says, get everyone to say good morning. That's a success. I think that's a wonderful thing as a success, because you probably brighten a lot of people. Thank you so much. Wow, this is great. Financial independence and PhD. So there's a talk about financial and you're talking about education. So now I know somebody said good, get everyone to say good morning. Is that good morning itself triggers a lot of positive vibes. And to me, that's a success if you can do it consistently. Anybody else? Maybe I'll share with you. Now, this is a little bit half in jest. Able to survive through the pandemic. That's great success, isn't it? I mean, I think a lot of people not even survive, they thrive after that, after the pandemic. So, I mean, this is not my code. I've sort of copied from somewhere. At birth, success is being alive. At age 3, success is not pooping in your pants. At age 10, success is having friends. Age 16, success is having a driver's license. Age 20, success is having, I'm going to get kicked out from Utah, sex. And at age 30, success is having money. And someone already said success is having 3 kids. Wonderful. And then when you are 40, success is having money again. At age 55, success is having sex. And at age 70, success is having driver's license. 75, your success is having friends. Age 80, your success is not pooping in your pants. And age 100, success is being alive. How this success change over time, but it comes back. Now, this is just a little quote from someone, probably half in jest, but there are 2 messages. One, successes are never permanent. They change over time, but you see success change over time. And success can be repeated when you're young and then repeated when you are old. So that's the message, that success is different for different people at different times. Now, the first half of one's life, a lot of times, as I say, the goals change, but probably you see success as more individualistic. Then you are looking at career achievement, you are looking at financial achievements, you are looking at sports, you are looking at building relationships with friends. And then over time, your role also change. You become dad or mom or brother and sister. Depending on your roles, that success is different at different times. Now, if I were to ask you to do something after this webinar, is if you have to write a book on your first half, what would it be? What would be your success? Now, I am talking quite a bit about your achievements for the first half of your life. The reason is actually, once you start thinking about your successes, your mind becomes more positive. You are encouraged by, and you'll be happier that knowing that you have a lot of achievements. because everyone have achievements, big or small, is dependent on how other people look at it. But to you, every success is big. So that's the reason why I sort of talk quite about successes in the first half. So it is about taking stock of your life at the first half. Now, then you come to the second half. What are you in your life now? When you are age 50, 60, 70, whatever, 80, 90, 100, where are you now in your life? I'm pausing here for a while to let you just reflect. What are you in your life now? Perhaps, again, it is perhaps, your life now is, I think Dr. Justin mentioned, oh, all of a sudden you have aches, body aches, you have you see that, oh, I have high blood pressure, I don't have enough money in to be independent for the rest of my life because I don't know how long I'm going to live. I am a mother or a father still worried about my children, whether they can be successful as I hope they will be. I will be whether I can keep my job because of my age. I know my career progression stops here. I can't climb the corporate ladder because of my age. So these things pop up in your head at this time. But this talk is really about what are important to you. What are your values at this age? Think of that. If your values are relating to health, relating to, I'm going to do this, health, finances, family, relationships. So where are you now in terms of, now, a lot of people, I would say, would be focusing on their health. In the first half of your life, a lot of this thing is about, oh, I will live forever. They don't think about their health. And then the second half, and as Dr. Justin said, when the body aches comes, and then it's like, oh, yeah, health is much more important. There are things like also probably some with concerns about financial. And then there's the family. There's perhaps this empty nest syndrome coming in. Okay, kids have grown up. They are left with just husband and wife. And then a relationship, the social circle goes smaller because some people have moved on. Some people have, they step out of the employment and then they don't have office colleagues anymore. Now, the reason why I'm saying looking at what are important to you is that you think about it now rather than forced into it by sudden events. Let me explain what those sudden events are. Sudden events sometimes relates to someone having, say, a heart attack. And then all of a sudden, things that are important to them at one time no longer becomes important. The health, staying alive becomes most important. Another one is stepping out at the age, now Malaysian retirement age is 60. At the age of 60, you are in some way forced to go out from employment, from the job that you currently hold. Some people get the extensions and all this and do other part-time jobs, but in general, you are in some way forced to retire. And then the next day, you find yourself, oh, I don't have job title, I don't have income, a steady income, I don't have my colleagues, and that life change. Some people take it sort of well because probably they have planned for it, what they want to do after retirement. So others get a shock. So this talk really is to sort of ask you to, if you are not in that position, to think about what are important to you now and what will be important if you after your retirement, because that will then make you work on those things that are important to you without that sudden compulsion of being to go into a particular situation. I see a note coming in. I'm opening my phone to see a chat. Somebody talk about, what is that? First half of my life, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to write a book about the challenges I face in my working life. Excellent. I mean, that is a wonderful thing, because now you know that you have something to share. What is important to you is to share that what you have learned with other people. So excellent suggestion of what you can do and what is important to you. Now, I also want to talk a little bit about how, since a lot of people are over 50, look at themselves as having illnesses, having difficult situations. Now, Dr. Justin, you are a medical doctor yourself. I would say that a lot of people come in, you will diagnose them with, say, I'm just simply saying something, diabetes. You may diagnose them with high blood pressure. You may diagnose them with knee joint problem. Now, and the person, what is important for that person then becomes health. But a lot of people that I've talked to get stuck in, I'm a diabetic, I am a heart patient, I am what they call, I am forgetful, I am senile. So they give themselves labels, which I personally think is unhelpful. If what are important to you is health, then you know that it is because, yes, you may have high blood sugar levels, you may have weak heart, but more importantly, that question of what do you want to be? That means you have high blood pressure, but what do you want to be? A lot of times, a lot of people don't ask that. They just see that situation. In the corporate world, this is called, you know, the what, but so what is not there. The so what is, what do I want to be? I want to be a healthy man or woman with sugar level of, I don't know, correct me, 4.0, which is a normal healthy sugar level. I want to be a learner, to learn something every day. I want to be, for those who always claim themselves to be forgetful, I want to be a man or woman who may have occasional lapses in memory, but I remember most things. So you want to be that person, not what you are. So let me just backtrack. Important thing is find out what is important to you and establish who you want to be. I'm looking at the time now. Okay, I've still have got quite a bit time. Oh, good. So the thing about what do you want to be is most critical. People, I draw you further examples of people talking about, I have knee problem. I have, well, what other issues do people have? I am poor. I have poor relationships. So, but people don't look at what they want to be, or which is, yeah, you have poor relationships with, I don't know, spouses, with in-laws, with friends. But what do you want to be is, I want to have cordial, friendly relationship with friends, with in-laws, with that. So the fact that you want that and you live that, you will live those values, you will know that these are important to you, and you will be a better person than what just taking whatever that is really to say, I am a diabetic, I have poor relationship. Any sort of comment, Dr. Justin, on what is said? Anyone have any comments? I would love to hear some comments from the participants. And Dr. Justin?
Yeah, I do agree with you entirely because when people discover that they have issues, it is the reaction to what is being told that is very important. How is it going to be received? Like I always say, if somebody has been diagnosed with diabetes, as you mentioned, they can be happy that the doctor didn't diagnose them with cancer. That could have been even worse.
Yeah.
Diabetes is something that can be modified, that can be controlled rather than having cancer. Or if it is cancer, and thank God it is a benign cancer, not a malignant one. So I always believe in this kind of a theory of relativity where there is always something better, there is always something bad to what you have. There is always someone richer, there is always someone poorer. There is always somebody more intelligent, less intelligent. No one is an absolute supreme or an absolute inferior. So it is all terms of relativity. So that is the kind of attitude that I normally tell my friends, patients, whatever.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Dr. Justin. I mean, it's so true. Things are relative. And that at the same time, I think that who you want to be, who you want are being is important. Not, so if you see yourself as being a diabetic and you just accept that, then it is what you are. But if you sort of look at it and say, I want to be, or I am a healthy person with this sugar level, obviously, then it becomes something that you can work on to reduce that blood sugar level. So that's my thing. So who you are automatically will transform to what actions you take to achieve that. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people have heard of the law of attraction. I think there is this person, Dr. Deepak Chopra, I don't know where, he talks about the law of intention, not the law of attraction. Who you intend to be is more powerful than what you try to attract. And I totally subscribe to that. If you intend to be the healthy, fit person, or the wealthy, successful, career successful person, you will be that. So that's the law of intention. And if I'm sure you can all Google if you have not come across that, Dr. Deepak Chopra. He's a medical doctor, but he turns very much into things on talk about the mind quite a bit. Now, I have this, and then I want to sort of quickly to talk about who you want to be. You must also need to understand why you want to be that. If you want to be something or want to be someone, if you don't understand why you want that, the chances of you going forward with it is not strong enough. The motivation is not strong enough. You need to understand why. Like if I'm sort of using diabetes as an example. If someone wants to be has diabetes and want to suffer, I want to rid themselves of diabetes, then I want to be a fit, healthy person with this sugar level, which is a normal sugar level. Then why? The why is I can travel anywhere in the world. I can see my grandkids. I can play with them. I can go out without concerns about needing to go to the hospital for regular checkups. So the why is critical in understanding what you want to be and why you want to be. So what does that who you want to be important to you? I do quite a bit of coaching, and coaching, there's always this question. How does it impact you? So if something happens, how does it impact you? So, and you want to correct something, you want to correct a phobia, for instance. Why do you want to overcome that phobia? How is that important to you to overcome it? If you don't see a reason, chances are you will not overcome that. It's much more difficult. I wouldn't say you can't. It's much more difficult because you don't understand why you want it. Now, that leads me to a couple of questions that came on during the registration. One of the questions is actually relating to how to control high egos person. I don't know who asked that question, but my thinking, my phone has locked. Okay. Now, to me is, why do you want to control a high egos person? Why? Is that important to you? If it's not, don't. The second thing I want to say is that in whether it's NLP or in any coaching or any work that we do, we do not focus on someone else, changing someone else. The focus is on changing ourselves. How to overcome a high ego person can be, first, that person may see himself or herself as confident and not high ego. And it may be your interpretation of that person's behavior that is, you interpret it as high ego. So I would say, don't try to change that person. You can't change another person. You can change yourself and how you interpret things. So, I bring this up because I want to say that when I'm talking about why, the why to you is important. Why do you want to achieve what you want to achieve? And once you know that, you can be the person that you want to be. I'm reading a text, and from those not achieve any form of personal success, that's it. Now, Interesting question. That's coming into the chat box. I think everyone can see it. And for those who do not achieve any form of personal success, does it come to reduce one's goals into something simpler as a personal health issue to the age limits? Now, personal success is what you put the mark expectation to be. If it is not you, personally, I see it as you can still achieve, aim for that particular goal of success, but you take incremental steps to achieve that, little baby steps. If you say, if you're one, again, I'm using, is there? Oh, there's this question. I'm reading the chat now. The person who wrote it, I mean, is there something specific about the age? If you don't mind me asking. The age, but you're talking about health issues. Is there any specific health issue? If not that, I'll just use diabetes. If your blood sugar level is very high and your success is actually to have a 4.0 blood sugar level. Doctor, correct me if that is not the right number, but I'll just put a 4.0 as a normal blood sugar level. So if you are at level 6 now, 6.0, aim in 1 month to be 5.9. Then the second month to be 5.8. Don't try to do 6.0 to 4.0 in 2 days, because first thing is probably it's not really feasible. Second thing is you give up after a few days. It doesn't work. So I would suggest take small incremental steps, but still maintain that goal. So I hope I have answered that question, Liang Kwan Tai. Now, let me quickly summarize this, and then we'll take more questions. So what I've shared with you is acknowledge and appreciate your learnings from your first half, the successes that you learn. Even the failures you can still learn, but I would like to say successes because it gives you a positive feeling. Secondly is know what are important to you and why it is important to you. And then finally, be that person who is successful in those particular areas. Now, I have finished my talk. I'll take Q&A, but I just want to know, I know some people did contact me after this. I'm leaving this slide here for those people who want to contact me to talk about some of their own values and all this. This is my email address, my LinkedIn, and my mobile. The deck will be shared at the end of this session, so you will have a deck and a little bit more, because I have cut out a lot of the decks, the information in the deck, because I don't. It will sound very wordy because of for the presentation. So that's that from me, and let's have some Q&A.
Thank you, Mr. Chakman. Now we open the floor for questions. I think we already have received one question, two actually, from which you have already answered one. So let me put it up in the chat box. A participant has asked, as a clinical hypnotherapist, if someone is professionally diagnosed with depression, severe anxiety, ARFID, bipolar, do you recommend them to seek treatment? from a clinical hypnotherapist or any other field of the profession?
Now, this question is not specifically about those over 50, but I will sort of address it nonetheless. But this question is about hypnotherapy and how, if someone is, let me just stop the screen share first. Okay. So let me just go back to this. So your question, the question, if I got it, Dr. Justin, is as a clinical hypnotherapist with certain diagnosed with depression, severe anxiety, bipolar treatment. So do I recommend seeking treatment from a clinical hypnotherapist?
In other words, I think whether clinical hypnotherapy will help people with these kind of conditions. I think that's what.
All right. Yeah. Now, first of all, I would say that if that person is doing treatment by a professional, maintain that first. First and foremost, maintain that, continue with that professional treatment. Now, you're asking whether should seek treatment from a clinical hypnotherapist. Because I am a clinical hypnotherapist, I am going to be biased and I say yes. The reason why is two things. One is clinical hypnotherapy works on the unconscious or the subconscious. And a lot of times treatments can be sort of performed on people with depression and severe anxieties. The other thing is that I would say that clinical hypnotherapy looks at the root cause. Now, I know that's Dr. Justin, probably you will disagree with me here. I'll find a lot of psychiatrists, a lot of doctors, their means of treatment is through medication. And that's when I start to debate whether that is the right thing. If, as a clinical hypnotherapist, I would want to look at the root cause. What caused that severe anxiety in the first place? What caused the depression? They sounded like they may have one or multiple causes. But so let me give you an analogy. If you have a knife pointing at your back and causing you to bleed very badly, no, probably a knife where a doctor may sort of want to stop the bleeding first. But as a clinical hypnotherapy, we actually look at that knife and how to get rid of that knife, and while looking at while the doctor is trying to sort out the bleeding. So what is that root cause? The root cause is that knife poking into the person's back that caused the bleeding. So that root cause is most important, and hypnotherapy actually does that. Looking at, as an example, what we call regression, looking back at your past and say, what triggered that anxiety? What triggered that depression? What triggered that? ARFID is, I think it's related to food, that you are selective with or not taking food, or selective with certain type of food. So all this may be because of some event that happens when you are young, when you at many years ago. So I would say, yeah, continue with the professional treatment. At the same time, work with a clinical hypnotherapist to sort out the root cause. Now, another point I want to sort of talk about is labeling. just now when I talk about what you want to be or who you are, I think that times when we as some professional label a particular issue as you are depressive, you suffer from severe anxiety, excuse me. So those labeling, I think sometimes is quite harmful. I think it is probably not as harmful if you say that you are depressed as opposed to you are a depressed person. That person will then look at themselves as depressed person and they will act that way. So I don't know whether that's the answer that you're looking for. I would say in conclusion is yes, go seek professional treatment. At the same time, go to talk to a clinical hypnotherapist to sort out the root causes or root cause, as the case may be.
Yeah, I do agree. A multidisciplinary approach might be good because there is a whole lot of conditions that he has listed: depression, bipolar, eating disorders, anxiety. I do agree that hypnotherapy has a role to play, particularly in identifying the root cause or the etiology and the etiopathology. But when it comes to management, it must be a holistic and integrated kind of an approach towards it. There is yet another question. We still have about 8 minutes left. So let me post the other question.
Yep.
Sir, from time to time, my dad would bring up the topic about death. But for the rest of the family members, especially my mom, we do not feel comfortable. I heard that it's important to talk about death, but sir, how to make it easier to talk about?
I would say that now I know I come from Asian background as well. Death is a taboo subject and it is difficult. And I think that's how the conversation, the difficulty is. It is important to me to talk about it because that's what is in your dad's mind, that person's dad's mind. Okay. So it is important to do this. There are two things here. One is talking to your mom to accept that conversation to start. The second thing is how to make it easier. I think sometimes it will probably not be easier, but it's a way of doing it is just to, when your dad brings up that subject, just continue with that conversation and understand what are his concerns. Why is he why does he bring up the topic of death? I mean, that's something in his mind. And if it is it because maybe he has ill health, he wants to sort of talk about the relationship with other people in the house because he thinks he's near death. It can be because then he may be worried about, say, a lot of people are medical bills that comes with close to death. Not death itself is expensive, but close to death, medical expenses. So understand where your dad is coming from. I think bring it up at a time when your dad brings it up and rather than shut it down. So two aspects. One is talking to your mom to assure that it is important for your dad to talk about it. Secondly, talk about when the dad and not you as an individual go in and talk to your dad. Hey, dad, you want to talk about death? Probably that's not the right thing to do. But when your dad brings it up, take that time to talk to him. So two things: talk to your mom, and secondly, bring it up when your dad brings it up. That's my thought on this.
Uh, yes, the person has replied that he will keep that in mind. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
I
Are
mean,
there
if
any?
you want to contact Hui Mui, if you want to contact me, by all means, to have a quick chat, not a coaching session, just a quick chat on this, because I'm limited by the time in which I am answering these questions.
Yeah, I think that might be all the time that we have for questions. Anyone having more questions, please feel free to contact Mr. Chokman separately with his personal email ID or whatever.